My name is Robert, and you're watching The Firing Line on VEGASET. Welcome to our third segment, and I'm continuing to speak on the Millennium New Deal. So yay, futurism. We're going there, one way or another. So, you heard that there are people who want to change Social Security. Now, Trump wanted to put it into the general fund. That way there was no more issues with it. So it couldn't be messed with anymore like regular things. It just had to be funded by the government. So no longer would people be kicking the can down the road. They would just have to fund it and take away all the other crap that's going on. And just force it to be dealt with every time the budgets came up. Which was a good idea. But there's also an idea of putting it into a 401k system. And we actually thought about that as well for the Millennium New Deal. Where for those who are 18 or older, it would be voluntary. Those who were under 18 who have not started working would be able to be set up on it. And those who received SSI would have no changes, of course. Private businesses and business 401ks would be unchanged, so they just add to the money pool when everyone was able to get Social Security when they got to that age. And, of course, an increase in the monthly checks. Now, everyone has heard about universal basic income. But what does that mean? Everybody gets money, including the rich people? Including people that don't want to do anything for it? Well, let's think of something else. Selective basic income. The United States already has this. With Social Security, as I just mentioned, they have this for those who qualify, who get to that age. Now, they also have disability income. And one thing for disability, what we would like to do on the Millennium New Deal is ease restrictions and approval process for behavioral diagnosis, physical impediment that prevents full-time work, or for life-interrupting disabilities such as asthma, which may cause loss of work, causing a need for a basic supplement. So, in other words, disability income would stay as it is, it just ease some restrictions and allow life-interrupting disabilities and diseases to be added on to there. But only as a subsidization up to the amount that is needed in there for it to be cut off. So instead of cutting it entirely off, you can make so much and it will just do the remainder to fill up how much you get paid unless you go over that amount. Simple enough. Okay. Now, another part of basic income. Unemployment income. If someone is fired right now, they have to prove that they were fired in bad faith. So maybe we should change that around a little bit. What happens if you get fired and it's either neutral, it's a layoff, no one's at fault, you didn't do something bad to get fired, why not easily be approved for unemployment and get a certain amount? Think about that. Now, you know, everyone knows what the unemployment rate is right now, probably. But if the unemployment rate included all able-bodied persons who are not working between 18 and 65, who are also not in school, of course, by working we include the military as working, because whatever they're doing something. So if we did that, that would completely change how it's calculated. Now, what if we also included reasons for unemployment as having no local jobs in an area with a skill set that the person has available? So, if jobs exist but you don't have the skill set for it, maybe that can go into education, which we will also talk about in just a little bit. The student income milestone. Income based on monthly statistics of learning and training by college courses for eligibility. Which means you make the grades, you get paid for making good grades for the month. Instead of scholarships, instead of grants, you get paid personally. The money comes to your hands for good grades, which you use to pay your professors, pay for your room and board, and pay for your food. And your vehicles. Maybe just one vehicle. Because if you're in college, yeah. Alright. Next, we're looking at another part. Poverty supplemental income. For those who are underemployed and below the poverty line, due to their local areas not having any sustainable jobs, maybe some supplements might help. But there's going to be a kick or two later on when I speak about everything put together in terms of all these selective basic incomes, because it's almost like universal basic income, except there's qualifiers. So Andrew Yang, eat your heart out, because back on March 18th when I first proposed this, I put an amount of $1,200 for the base. Coincidentally, 3 days later, McConnell and Trump and all of them put in the $1,200 in the CARES Act for everyone. I kind of shared this thing across the internet, and they're like, "Ooh, $1,200 sounds good." No, not really, but it is a great coincidence, though. Now, if we put all these programs into one qualifying system and just merge the HHS and the Labor Department and everything like that, well, not the Labor Department, but just merge the HHS into everything for all these types of incomes and stuff, so it administers everything under a single qualifying system, streamlines the process, which no one thinks of streamlining when they think of government. I mean, Trump streamlined a few things, so maybe we can do it too. Now, the thing that can make some people cringe is taxation. Think of a 16% VAT tax that would add $4 trillion a year to both lower the national debt and fund basic incomes and debt relief to business tax loss deductions. Meaning the poor would not have to be taxed because this would exclude utilities, rent, and food. So people can't make that argument that the poor get taxed out of this, because the basic necessities is what the poor need, and they don't get taxed because those things are excluded. And the VAT tax mainly goes on the GDP and the amount of money that's in circulation. So adding $4 trillion more back can be a good thing. That's if we don't just completely void the void the IRS. But that's if we don't completely void the Federal Reserve and say, okay, you gone, everything we owe you is gone, we take it all back, and we owe zero debt. Now that is a plan.